Hi, this is Joshua Lewis for J.D. Lewis Auto Care. Today I'm doing my first oil change. I'll be posting this video here shortly. And this is what you do for an oil change. So what you need is a ratchet with a 14 millimeter for a Toyota. You need a oil filter wrench and gloves so you don't get yourself dirty, and a jack, oil pan, and oil to do the oil change. What you do first for the oil change is unscrew the oil cap on top of the engine. Take it off, set it on the hood latch so that later you don't forget to do it. Basically, there's other things that you check for when you do an oil change. You check the air filters, you check spark plugs, wires if you have them. You check the all your coolant levels, all your power steering levels, and every other fluid that's in the car. And then you would do battery tests, check the battery, see if it needs to be any battery changes if you need it for future reference. Check all your belts, make sure that they're properly working and not cracked or showing signs of rip or damage on them. Well, the next thing you do is get your jack. What you do, place the jack underneath the car, and once you do, find a place to jack it up and then start jacking up the car. Okay. Underneath the car is lift points. You see there's a welding spot under here, and then you put the jack on that welding spot. And then now that I jacked up the car, now I'm ready for the next step. The next step is to get your ratchet and your socket ready to open up the drain plug. Underneath the car is a drain plug, which I'll be loosening up with this, and then let the oil drain out. After that, you put the drain plug back on, tighten it up, and proceed with the oil filter, and then put the oil back into the car. Well, now that you see that I've drained all the oil out of the Toyota Camry, now this is the leftover oil that's drained it out. What I'm doing is I'm putting this oil inside this bucket here, and later to be disposed of. Right? Now that's emptied out. Clean up your mess that you make. Cap back up, and you could take it to your local auto parts store or take it to like Firestone, and in my case I'm going to take this to Honda to dispose of all the old oil. The next step of the process is taking out the oil filter, which is right here. You take out the oil filter and put the new one in. And then you put an oil pan underneath, because what happens is that oil drips out of that oil filter, and you need to catch all the oil. So I put an oil pan back underneath after I disposed of the oil that already drained out of the oil pan, and that's it. That's all you have to do. Okay. Well, next is the oil filter removal process. This is an easy process. All you have to do is get a pair of oil filter pliers or whatever you have that can take off. There's other variations of these. All you have to do is untwist the oil filter. Take off the old oil filter. And this is what it looks like. Take this. Now at my job I'm going to crush this and dispose of it. But for right now, take the new one out. Now there's a seal on here. What you do is take oil and seal it up. Put it on the new filter. Put the old filter back in here. What you do is take the oil filter, obviously clean up any spills that you have. Take the new oil filter and put it on. Tighten it up. Clean any spills that you have. Spray clean always works best. Okay. And then after that, dispose of the rags. And then what you do is take the new oil. Now, there's many variations of oil. If you're driving a high mileage vehicle such as this Toyota Camry, this has 315,000. You want to have a high mileage oil. This is a 5W20. They come in many variations. 5W30, 10W30, 10W40, depending on your application and what you need. Now for younger cars, I always recommend a full synthetic 5W20 or 0W20 because they're best for newer cars. Now this car takes about 4.5 quarts, or well 4 quarts to start out with, and then add as needed. Let that drip down in there, and then do 3 more quarts, and then start the car, check the oil level, and add as needed. And that's it. That's all there is for the oil change.